And then on the other hand, we have AIT Women, which is a kind of like cross-sectorial network of people interested on women empowerment within entrepreneurship and innovation. I'm the communications manager of the board this year, together with Aleta. And basically, what we do is that we want to bring together women and students and alumni from all the different innovation communities to empower all of them to become the next generation of women leaders in innovation, business, entrepreneurship, and technology. This is the board of this year. We have Merced, Camila, Sarah, Aleta, Maria Cano, which is the co-founder, and myself. And so far, since we started a couple of years ago, we've organized first like in-person events. Now they're all online, but more than 30 events. We have around 20 local leaders from 10 different countries within Europe that help us with the outreach of our community. And we are very active in our social media channels, which is mainly LinkedIn and Slack this year, but also we have a very growing newsletter that we have every month, sharing information on what we've done and some interesting articles. And we also have our Facebook. If you want to join us, you can join our events like the one of today. You can also become a local leader and represent us in different events. And you can also join the board, because actually last week we opened 4 different positions from the board. We want to renew a little bit ourselves. So if you're interested in this, you can email us or go in our social media, and we've posted there the application form for it. That's it on the AIT Women part, and now I'll leave the room for Liana to tell us a little bit about AIT Health Alumni.
Thank you, Maria. So the AIT Health Alumni, can you put back, please? We are a multidisciplinary community of innovators that are building the future of healthcare, and our slogan is actually by alumni for alumni. And our mission and vision, Maria, is actually to support the AIT Health by building an active network of alumni that are dedicated to activities to improve the quality of life, active aging, and healthcare across Europe. And our vision is actually to become the leading European association of innovators, healthcare, and entrepreneurs, and executives. So what we offer is actually training, network, teaching, co-creation, and even getting hired. And if you join our platform, you will get all the kind of opportunities, like the events like this one that we are offering, but also free tickets to some events from EIT Health, both from Facilitator and other communities. Next. You can also actually get hired in our platform now. So in a weekly basis, we offer different kind of jobs offers. And we also have our newsletter every week to offer you all these opportunities within our community. So join us, of course, once you're. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you, Liana. We actually have at the end of the presentation the QR codes for everyone that wants to join our network to sign up. And then finally, we will give the room for Carolyn to tell us a little bit what we're going to be doing today and guide us through the workshop itself.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Liana. So I'm just going to take a minute to share my screen. Can everybody see that okay? Showing up okay? Yep.
Yes, right. It's perfect.
So thank you, Maria, for reaching out to me and inviting me to join you this evening. It's wonderful to be here with so many young, aspiring future leaders. It's really, really lovely. So thank you. And I'm really looking forward to working with you all. Because of time, unfortunately, I won't get to let you introduce yourself and get to know you all. However, what I am offering is that once we've gone through today, if you want to reach out to me and have a one-to-one, you'll have all my details and we can get to know each other a little bit offline. We can talk about any items we've gone through today, any personal objectives with regard to negotiation, or anything we haven't touched and you want to go a little bit deeper. So I'll be sharing those details tomorrow via Maria. Also, I'm lucky to have my colleague, Liana, also in Berlin, who's joined me this evening. So she's...
Hello, everybody.
And she's actually we're working together to pull together this negotiation pack and negotiation from a gender point of view. So it's something that we're working on together because we're both very passionate about that. We're both practitioners. I'm over 25 years as a negotiation practitioner. I think Liana maybe about the same or a little bit less. She's a bit younger than I.
Maybe less, but similar.
Similar. So we've got a lot of experience between us as females and as negotiation practitioners. So it's really good to be able to share our knowledge with you all. And what Liana is going to be doing today, she's actually, if we've got any questions, if you could write them in the chat, she's going to keep an eye on them. And as we go through the workshop, if we can find space and time throughout the workshop, we will actually go into them a little bit. If not, we'll take a copy of them. And when we do the handout, we'll follow up and providing answer to those questions. So hopefully that's okay for everybody. Sorry, so when I'm in presentation mode, for some reason,
you have to click on.
Yes,
yeah.
I have to click. There we are. So a little bit about myself. As I said, I'm a practitioner. For over 20 years, I've been negotiating in various different roles, different fields, different industries, and I have a portfolio of experience negotiating business-to-business agreements, business-to-customer agreements. I've been on both sides of the table. I've been in multi-party agreements. I've been in short-term agreements, long-term agreements. But with all that experience, I can tell you one thing that was very similar throughout the whole of that was normally I was the only woman in the room. And sometimes not only the woman in the room in different countries and different cultures, but I was actually the lead negotiator as well. Now, I had successes, I had failures, I had highs and I had lows. And this is what's driven me to actually pull something together, not from purely the academic point of view, not purely from a practitioner point of view, but a combination of an academic, practitioner, and a female point of view, and share that lens and those views and those tips and techniques and methods with you. Now, some people say that negotiation, it's a skill, it's a talent, a bit like leadership. I don't dispute that for some people, it comes a little bit easier maybe to talk to a room of people and talk about various different interests, but it's not a talent. It's something you can learn. It's like a sport. A famous footballer isn't born and then just suddenly goes out at the age of 17 and earns millions of pounds and scores lots of goals like Ronaldo. They have a talent. They learn the techniques, they learn the methods, they have to go through the training, they practice a lot, even in between the games, and then they go out and play and they fail and they succeed. And that's the same with negotiation. It's like looking at a sport. It's like looking at leadership. You can have some basic skills, natural skills, but it's all about learning and practicing and building on methods and tools and techniques. So I'm going to try and share and give you all a good foundation today of what you can build on. So on the menu, what I've put together is some basic negotiation points that I'm going to take you through from an academic and practitioner point of view. Now, negotiation is such a broad and deep subject that we don't have time to touch everything. I've picked out a few key points so everybody has the same basic understanding and foundation. We're going to do a bit of a role play. We're going to look into difficult things like what does no mean, deadlocks, conflicts, and how you can come over those. We're going to deep dive into some gender negotiation items to look at tips, things to do, things to not do, some practical tools. And then we're going to talk about some next steps, because I've got a little bit of a goal and objective for you all as well. Negotiation, the overall process. Now, you've probably not seen something like this before, because if you search on the internet or you buy a negotiation book, you'll see 4 steps, 5 steps, 7 steps. And they very much cover the same thing. They just look a little bit different. This is one that we've pulled together because it's one that we've used ourselves and we find it very useful. And I'll tell you why we find it very useful. Because it clearly lists all the items that you need to do. It's like when you're looking at a project plan, you don't go straight into the solution. When you're developing a product, you don't jump straight into the solution. You start at base 1. You look at, that's where I want to go. This is where I am. How do I get there? And this gives you the structure on how to get there. Now, as I said, negotiation is very broad, very deep. If we were going to go into all of those, it would take us 10 days. And actually, both Liana and I have been on 10-day negotiation training courses. And they can go anything from half a day to 10 days. What we've done is we've pulled out a few key points that we think will help you get basic understanding that then you can build on and you can develop. And that's preparation, starting, some tactics, and how to get over no. Now, I mentioned the other modules and the other processes, and they'll all start with the same, number 1, preparation. And whether you're looking at as a practitioner or from a professor, they always tell you, do not jump into number 3 straight away. Always start preparation. You can't prepare enough. You prepare, you prepare, you prepare. Even if it's a small negotiation, even if it's your own negotiation, preparation is the key. Before you start going into the preparation in detail, excuse me, you have to consider, what is your aim? What are you negotiating here? What do you want? Is it a zero game, winner, loser? And that could be like buying a car. So if I'm going to go and buy a car, I've got my idea what I want. I want a black sports car. I have 20,000 euros and I've got 5 dealers to choose from. So I'm not building a relationship with those dealers. I'm going to go in, if I don't buy from dealer 1, I buy from dealer 5. And I can go in and it's an opportunist negotiation. I want to have the best car for the lowest price. So I want to be the winner. I want to take it all. Then on the opposite side, you've got the win-win negotiation. Now, when you go deeper into the win-win negotiation, there's actually lots of different types of win-wins. You don't know if you've heard about looking at the pie and how you divide the pie. Well, there's actually dividing the pie, there's growing the pie. How do you divide the pie 50-50? Do you do it vertically? Do you do it horizontally? There's lots of different ways you can do that. So think about, it's a win-win, it's a long-term relationship, and how to divide the pie, share the pie, grow the pie. That's what you look at when you come up and you go into the next phase, which is a very important phase, goal setting. It's the phase that people sometimes jump over, but it's a phase I can tell you that you shouldn't jump over, even if it's for yourself. You're talking about a promotion, you're talking about a development, you're going into a business negotiation. Always do your goal setting. And I'm going to take you through this a little bit more, because there's 2 elements of goals that you need to be able to understand. There's your goal setting from your party, from yourself. What do you want? What do you need? And come up with your list. And remember, your wants and your needs can be different. Let me give you an example. I'm a customer and I want to buy a service. Now, my want is, I want the best quality of service in 3 minutes, 24/7, and I want it for the cheapest price. What's my need? My need is the quality of service in 3 minutes because that's what I've committed to my customers. Then you calculate how valuable are all those elements to you. And the ones that are more valuable are the ones that later on, as you go into the negotiation, they're the ones that you won't be wanting to bargain. You'll want to stay in that area. And you'll come up with what's your best outcome, your most desirable objective. What's your least acceptable? So again, as a company, I'm buying a service. My least acceptable is still high quality, 24/7, 3 minutes turnaround, but I can actually perhaps pay a little bit more than what I'm paying today because the quality I get in today from my service provider is not good enough. So that's my least acceptable. Then we go on to the BATNA, the best alternative to no agreement. People skip over that, they forget it, or they think it's not important, or they call it their plan B. It's your plan A. Because what it means, if you don't reach an agreement, then what's your alternative? What are you going to do? So a customer buying a service, my alternative is I'm talking to 2 or 3 different suppliers. So I actually have an alternative. If you're negotiating a job offer, maybe you have 2 offers. So your alternative is I've got job A, I've got job B. Now, the most important part is understanding the goals. You need to know their side. People tend to not put so much effort into that because it is a little bit more difficult than actually understanding your own goals. But it is very, very important because if you don't understand what they want, when you go in and start talking to them, you might get blindsided. You really need to do your research. And today, it's actually quite easy to do our research because there's so much information available. Again, as you did for yourself, what do they want? What do they need? So supplier, service provider, they want my business because I'd look good on their portfolio. Do they need my business? Maybe they have full capacity. They don't need my business. They want my business. So therefore, maybe the price isn't as valuable to them. So they're not going to sell their service at the cheapest price. Come up with what could be of value to the counterpart other than the obvious. Is it price? Is it payment? There's a whole list of items depending on the negotiation that you're looking at. Identify what is their best outcome, what's their LAA, and importantly, what's their BATNA. Why do we need to know what their BATNA is? Because your BATNA is a power tool, and I'll explain that in the next few slides. But do not forget your BATNA and their BATNA, whether it's a business negotiation or whether it's your own negotiation. Think of what the best alternative to no agreement is. There we are. So when you've come up with all your goals and you've put them all, you've plotted them all down, you'll come up with something that looks like this. The top one here is your MDO, your LAA. So you'll have all that listed over there. Now, depending on how complex the agreement is, you should have that for every element. So if you're selling, if you're buying a service, you would have it for the turnaround time, you would have it for the quality, you would have it for the price, you would have it for the length of the agreement. So you have all the elements there. Then you would plot theirs out here, their LAA and their MDO. And here in the middle, this is what we call the zone of possible agreement. Now, this is going to be your best friend, your tool. It's very important you keep that close to you because in the wrong hands, you're giving away information. And the reason why this is going to be your best friend in negotiations, because you'll be plotting as you move along, what have they said? What have you said? What have you bargained? What's your proposal? What's the counter proposal? And you'll actually be able to see where you're moving along and what's more important to them than maybe you thought. Now, I said before, it's really important to understand what their goals are. You may not have found them all, or you may want to substantiate them. Come up with a list of questions, open questions that you'll answer as you go through the negotiations. And then you'll be able to change what may be on their LAA and MDO. Then you have your BATNA. So your BATNA might be their MDO. I can't pay any price for the service. There is a certain price, a sweet point for me, because I have a price that I'm selling to my customer. So this is your alternative to no agreement. Now, a good BATNA means you can walk away. People sometimes say, do you share your BATNA or do you keep it to yourself? If you don't have a good BATNA, I'd keep it to yourself. If you have a good BATNA, you can use it as leverage. You just need to choose the right time. I had this happen to me once, and I'm not sure whether it was they did it consciously or unconsciously. I got a phone call and they said to me, we're going to talk to 2 or 3 different people, but because you're the preferred choice, we're going to give you the first choice of the meeting. Which one would you like to choose to have our discussion? I was like, wow, that made me a little bit nervous. It made me feel good that I was the preferred choice. However, I knew what their BATNA was. They had 2 other people that they were talking to. So I had to relook at my goals and think about, what am I going to do here? What is my MDO? What is my LAA? Do I need to change this or not? Or do I stay where I am? So you can use your BATNA. It is very, very powerful. Establishing a BATNA, it's actually quite a deep subject, and there's lots of different ways to do it. The recommendation is a decision tree. Consider your options. So if they don't give you the price or they don't make you the salary, what's your options? Do you take less salary? Do you, just think of all your options to establish your BATNA. What could help you to walk away, or not help you to walk away? What would give you the confidence to walk away? So as you're establishing your BATNA. And what you'll end up with when you do their BATNA as well, you'll end up with something like this. BATNA is your power. How powerful is their BATNA? Is it weak? Can you weaken their BATNA? Some people talk about weakening the LAA. It's pretty much the same, but if you can weaken their BATNA, they have no alternative but to change their LAA because they have no BATNA. And you can improve your power through your BATNA. So you've decided your aim, you've done all your goals, you've got them all plotted out, you know what your BATNA is. Now it's time to start the negotiation, start the talks. And this can happen differently because there's the business side, and then there's if you're starting talks with a new company or your direct superior about promotions, salary increases. So I'm going to cover more the business one, but I'll bring in some of the personal elements as well. If you're going to go into a business negotiation, normally the 2 lead negotiators from both sides have some communication. You're not going to turn up cold to a meeting with a team that you haven't, that you don't know who's turning up. You're going to have had some, where shall we meet? What are the key items we want to, how do we want to approach this? You've built up a little bit of rapport. Now, if you're going to set up a self-negotiation with your direct manager or with personnel, you also still need to do some preparation and give some indication of what you want to talk about. Don't blindside anybody, whether it's a business negotiation or whether it's a personal one, because they'll be defensive straight away. And once the defenses are up, it's really difficult to bring them down. Another thing about starting the negotiation especially in a business one, is don't rush it. Let it go a little bit naturally. If you have a deadline, don't share that. Keep it in, because you're giving away leverage if they know that you have a deadline. Also, if you need to travel to negotiations, be very careful on have flexible travel plans. Be a little bit flexible for when you leave. If the first person who says, I need to leave at 5 o'clock because I need to be on a flight, so we need to get this done, you're guaranteed that at 4:30, they'll throw something on the table that will really make you think, do I need to leave at 5 o'clock? So keep those things to yourself. Now, you need to build a rapport. You need to feel comfortable in this initial phase. Think about it like a conversational intelligence. Learn to ask questions. The key critical skills as a good negotiator. Some people say it's about persuading people. It's not. It's communicating and learning to ask questions. So your ability to ask questions, ask lots of questions. Now, at first, you're building a rapport. So you think about positive emotion. Think about social items. And you can identify who you're going to be talking to. Look at LinkedIn, look at Instagram. Have they got a hobby? One thing I recommend is don't talk too much about subjects that you like, because you'll run the risk of talking too much and you want to get information from them. You want them to talk. You want them to feel good. Have you ever been in that situation where somebody's asked you a question and they don't let you answer, and then they keep answering and they're talking, and you walk away and you think, oh, wow, that person, I couldn't stop them talking, and you try to avoid them. Where on the other side, you'll meet somebody and they'll ask you questions and they seem really interested. They actually listen to you. They're actively listening to you. And you'll walk away thinking, that person's really good to talk to. They're really interested in me. They've really built up a rapport. Well, in negotiations, it's the same. Build up that rapport, ask the questions, listen actively. That means don't listen and think, what am I going to ask next? Or what do I want to say here? Really listen actively. I think it was Einstein that said, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, but as human beings, we use our mouth a lot more than we use our ears. In negotiations, try and do the opposite to that. Harvest information. When you're building this rapport and you're getting to know each other, you can get information out here. You can ask questions that are quite subtle to answer some of the items that you've got from your goal setting that you're not sure about, or you're substantiating them. And if you're going to negotiate with a team, when you do your team prep, make sure that everybody understands what the approach is going to be, that it's asking questions, even share out the questions so it's not just one person, and also make sure that people are answering the right questions. That's one thing to think about. What you're learning here, the other side of the table know and will use it as well. So be very careful when you're building this rapport and getting this information going. Now, you'll get to a point when somebody, it could be you, it could be the other party, or you feel it's the right thing, when you actually decide, yes, you know, let's start talking a little bit about the business items now. Don't go in with a sledgehammer. Don't go in so, well, here's our key points. This is what we want to do. Do you agree? Again, it's all about building the rapport. The start. Shall we have a look at the items to cover? Should we look at the main points for today's discussion? You may already have got the agenda. However, maybe you just want to touch base with the opposite party just to make sure that everything is still on track. They may have changed their view. They will tell you a lot by telling you what is their main point, because it's actually saying that's most important to them, or least important. Now, if you're going into a negotiation for yourself And if it's for an appraisal or a salary increase or a job offer, you can open it up. Glad to have the chance to talk with you today about this. Glad to have the opportunity to go through my achievements over the last year. There's lots of ways you can do that, where you're building a rapport and you're making it, you're not putting the other person automatically on defense, where they think she's going to ask for something. She's being a little bit too hard. So remember, the beginning of the negotiation, the business negotiation, it's about positioning yourself, gaining interest, asking questions, harvesting information, critical skills. So negotiation started, and people are starting to think about proposals, putting things forward, discussing items. So I'm going to take you through a few techniques now. One thing though I just want to be clear on, proposals, be very clear, is this a proposal where you're gaining information, or is it actually a firm offer? Also at this point, some people say, well, do you go in with the first proposal? Do you put the first offer on the table, or do you let the other party? Again, there's no right or wrong. It depends on the situation. I'm going to give you two examples here. If I am, as a customer, obviously I've put my RFQ out, I've got something from the opposite party, so they already have an idea what I'm looking for. And depending on how the start went and depending on how we went, but I would frame what I was looking for. Rather than a proposal, I would frame, I am looking for a service provider who could deliver me quality for the right price, 3-year agreement. These are the type of things I'm looking for. And they would probably frame what they are offering as well. You can do that softer. If I was going into a discussion for a job offer that's been put on the table, or a development or a proposal, I would actually go in prepared with a compelling pitch, a compelling position, and I would open the discussions up. And we'll talk about that a bit later if we have time, on some suggestions on how to do that, or we can do that in your one-to-ones if you've got something like that coming up. And when you're in the proposal phase, get comfortable about asking for proposals. Again, get the other person to speak, get the information. So what are your views on? Do you have any suggestions for? How do you feel about that? What part of this is most important to you? What matters to you most? Making proposals. I think the best way is to, or we propose, I propose, recommend that. So again, if I'm going to the company and supplier and I'm making a proposal, I would say something like, I think the best way to move forward is that I could live with a service level agreement of 24/7 with a turnaround of 3 minutes. And however, I would give a reason. It's important to support a proposal, offer the reasons. And my key reason for asking for this is that I have a customer base who I need to deliver a response to within 5 minutes. And I'm that point of contact. So that 2 minutes delta is what I need to be able to look at the solution that we're providing. So give your reasons when you're making proposals. I recommend this because of this, and this is why I need. And if you explain things, you're more likely to get to, they may not agree straight away, but there's a cooperation there. There's a tendency you want to work to find a solution. You're being open, you're explaining why you want and you need different things, and you're looking for different things. And that actually works even when you're negotiating for yourself as well. Now you go into the harder bargaining and collaborating, and there's certain tactics here. Before I go into this though, I want to talk about one item, which is clarifying. This is a really good tool to use. It's a really good tactic, but it can be used against you as well. So let me talk about what I mean there. Clarifying, sometimes people are ambiguous or they're not clear enough on purpose. They want to put up a smoke screen. If that happens, don't apologize. Don't say, sorry, I didn't understand that. Can you explain that again? That's putting yourself in a lower position. You can say something like, it's a very good point. I really want to understand that a little bit more. Could you take me through that again? Now, there's two reasons why you want to say that. First of all, you want to make sure you understand it. Second, are they being ambiguous on purpose? And there's actually a good tactic here. Even if you have understood it, there may be some more information you're trying to get out. So you could actually use it as a tactic to get them to talk more, to get you to give you more data. And remember, they're going to use that against you as well. So it's a tactic that they'll use. Now, if you don't clarify when there's there's something that's a little bit unsure in the room, and you let it go, as you get further down the road, you could undo a whole negotiation. And I actually had that happen to me as well, where 2 weeks completely lost because we had different understandings. We weren't on the same page. So do ask and make sure there's no ambiguity as you move along. So you get into the bargaining and collaborating. Now, again, the question people ask is, when do you start doing this? There's no science here. You'll know, you'll have a feeling, and the more you negotiate, the better your feeling will be. Now, if you're unsure, you're there as a team or you're there with one other person, walk away and say, we've talked about proposals, we've gathered information. I believe we're at a point where we could start actually bargaining and collaborating. What does your team see? Because while you're talking as the lead negotiator, they're seeing things that you're not seeing, or vice versa. As they're talking, you're seeing things. So always talk to your team, and because you've all got different perspectives. Now, when you do start the bargaining and collaborating, be very clear. Don't concede for nothing in return. Express that you could accept some terms, but only in exchange for others. So, for example, I'm the customer and I'm looking for the service. We may be able to work on the price. If you could agree to a fixed 3-year agreement, I'm asking for something in return. Maybe they only wanted 1 year of pricing. We could offer you better payment terms if you think you could agree on a lower price. If you, in exchange for this, would you agree to do this? So that's when you're bargaining and collaborating, because you've already identified, using your spectrum, your MDO and your LAA, what do you want, what do you need, what could you actually move on a bit, and what do you think is important or not important to them, and how you would do that. Now, always make sure when you're bargaining and collaborating, even if you're giving something away very small, that they think it's very big. Don't show your cards. Always make them think it's much more difficult than what it is, for 2 reasons. A, they think, good, I've really worked, I've really got this, so you're boosting them up. And B, you're not showing your real MDO and LAAs. You're not showing your real needs. Another way to bargain and collaborate is you can ask for something in return. Get comfortable with asking for counter proposals or asking for a counter bargain. We're not very good at this. If I agree that I can take on that extra work, what can I stop doing? What solution could there be other than a price for that service? What solution could there be other than a 5-year agreement? Think about, ask them to put something on the table. if you've got something that you want to bargain with, if you can't or you don't want to identify what you put as a counter proposal. So I've spoken enough. I'm going to take a few minutes break now, because what we're going to do is we're actually going to go into a negotiation. So I think the breakout rooms have been set up. You'll automatically be split up into 2 people. If anybody ends up in a room by yourself, please come back. We'll try and sort that out. Even if Liana and Maria's in the room, we'll try and make sure everybody's in the room. You're going to be person A or person B, and I'll explain that in a minute. You're going to have 2 minutes prep where you're going to read a scope. You're going to have a 5 minutes exercise of negotiating, and then we're going to come back and do a group reflection. So person A, if your name, the letter of your first name is nearer to A, so if your name's Anna, you're person A. If you're Susie, you're person B. If by coincidence we end up with 2 Susies in the room, just choose the eldest person goes to B and the youngest person goes to A, even if it's only a matter of days. So is everybody, I think we've got 34 people. So with you, Liana, and myself, that's 32. So it should be that everybody has a partner in the room. Is everybody clear on that? And then after 7 minutes, the breakout room, you should automatically come back. Are we ready? I'm assuming, are we saying yes? Yep, so you all should disappear, and 7 minutes, we'll see you back in 7 minutes.
You're muted. Sorry.
You're not in a room?
I'm not in a room. I'm a host. I can't be.
But we've just got Tabitha that's come back.
Yeah. Oh, she was alone. You were alone, right?
Yeah, I had a partner at the beginning, but I think she disconnected.
Let me move somebody who is with 3 people to your room, okay?
Thank you.
Or Liana, why don't you 2 do it here in the main part if you want to, or don't you want to?
No, it's fine.
Okay, all right then.
So you can go back to the room. I think you can. You're able to go back to the breakout room, Tabitha?
I don't think so.
Oh, okay. So because now there's some issue.
Yeah, I was, because I'm on double screen, I was allocated 2 people to negotiate at the same time. I think we had a mismatch there.
Okay.
But they should, I think it was room 4 and 6. Are they waiting for somebody?
Room 6 is waiting for somebody. And room 5 asked for help.
Ah, all right.
I'm here again.
So I don't know, Juliana, could you do it with Tabitha, please? I will go to Caroline. You can't move to a breakout room, right?
No, I don't think so.
And if I move you to the room that is asking for help? Okay. It's interesting.
That's interesting. So I'm still in the big room, right?
You're in the main room because Tabata now stayed by herself.
Okay,
So
can you link me with her then?
she's here with us right now.
Yeah, like,
have-
shall we do this here, or if you want, I can just watch a group doing it. It's okay. I don't need to participate. Like, I don't know,
No.
whatever it's you well.
No, that's perfect. That's perfect. So I'm Liana. Hello. So I probably should be person A. Have you
Yes.
had the chance to read the intro? So then let's quickly read the intro and then
Yes.
2 minutes and then we're back. All right.
Okay. Yes, I'm person B.
Sure.
I was alone in the room, so I don't know if I should be reassigned or.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. Anna.
I was in room 4 before, but I was alone.
Oh yeah, I can see it. Okay. So let's move you to any room possible. Hello?
Hello.
Is there an issue? Oh, you're alone, right?
Yes, exactly. I'm alone.
Okay, could you please come to the main room with me?
Yeah.
You
So
just
I
have to
leave the
leave.
room, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, we have some people here.
Yeah, they cannot see the
link
the link anymore. So there seems to
Okay.
be a problem. I'm trying to repost it here.
Oh yeah, the thing is,
I can see it. If you want me, I can copy paste it in the chat again.
yeah, I don't know if it's possible actually.
Oh, you're right.
I tried to.
Why? Okay.
Okay, but what if I copy paste it from my
Oh, yeah.
browser? Okay, I think
It seems
I
now.
just sent person B. I don't know if you can see it.
I need person A.
Okay, yeah, I'm working on it. No
person
worries.
A. I have person A here.
And
Okay,
great.
then.
Yeah, my second message is person A. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Thank you a lot. Now let's see how much time do we actually have for.
Actually, it just beeped, but you can go back. Did you manage to work Tabata and
Not really. We were just starting now, but we seem to be with everybody else. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So if I go back to, because I have the option to go back to room number 6, but can you, Liane, go with me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I will go to room number 6 so we can talk in this very little moment.
Okay.
Yeah. Go for it.
So we've got a few more people back now. So I'm not sure how long we've got left, actually, Liana.
Well, actually, it already finished, but some people didn't manage to work on it because the links were not working.
Okay, let's see. I think we should come back, otherwise we will run over. So that's a shame.
And it's an issue for you, right? You don't in
No,
terms
no,
of
no, not for me, but for everybody else. If you want to give them 5 more minutes and you're okay to
Yeah.
run over, okay.
I would prefer them. Julian, could you move to room 6, please?
What do I do to move?
There should be an option for you to go to the breakout room.
Okay.
I don't know if I can move you.
Okay.
No,
No.
because now Tabata is there by herself.
Okay.
I will put 2 minutes left for everyone.
Yeah, apparently the links weren't working that well, so not everybody got the
Yeah, they stayed here in this main room chat. That's an issue from.
I was in room 9, but I was alone.
Oh, that's a pity. Yeah.
Then I can move you to room 6 with Tabata. Wait, just a second.
Okay.
So that you can still work a little bit. Okay.
Right. So they'll get 1 minute, 2 minutes, and see how it works. But
yeah.
For me, I don't have a hard stop. It's just for everybody else. I was thinking that people after a long day at work may want to finish right on 8 o'clock, but I'm fine if we run out. I prefer to make sure we cover everything so everybody gets the full benefit.
Yeah, but I think if we run over 5 minutes, 10, it's not an issue.
Okay, if somebody wants to go, they can. We'll say at 8 o'clock. You know, there's a little bit more to go, and if they want to go, they can.
Yeah, we don't have questions yet, Carolyn. There are no questions so far.
Yeah.
Thanks. I thought so. I thought that because I hadn't heard anything, so I just keep going. I think when we get into the gender part, there may be more questions.
Oh, Marseille is back. Hello.
Hello.
Did you finish already?
Yes, just finished.
Oh.
Right.
Good.
You're the first one, but Carla is not coming back.
She's figuring out how to do it.
Oh, okay. Or she will just, okay, cool.
I'm going to share my screen again.
Okay. So shall I bring everyone back now?
Yes, I think so, if that's okay.
Yeah. So 1 minute now for everyone to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, and we can see it again, Carolyn. All good.
Excellent, thank you. So somebody's in the waiting room?
Yeah, I think Carla just had to leave the whole meeting. And she came back.
Yeah. So as we were saying, there's lots of pros of being able to get everybody together virtually and very cosmopolitan and international, but the downside is that you do sometimes have these technical hitches that you don't have when you're in person, and people can just go off with their handouts and find their corners to do their exercise. And you can do more exercises as well because there's less administration.
Yeah. But we have people from all over Europe here.
That's great.
Sweden, Netherlands, Portugal, Germany, Hungary.
United Kingdom.
Yeah.
Who said United Kingdom?
Spain.
Spain.
I did.
Right.
We've not left the European Union just yet, I'm afraid.
Finland.
Yep, feels home, as you say that.
I think you did actually. Wasn't it the 31st of December?
I have my permanent residency. I'm still an EU citizen.
Ah.
Oh, resident. My apologies, resident.
I took the easy way. I became German.
I couldn't let go of my British passport just yet.
I know, I got to keep both because I did it before Brexit. So I managed to keep both. Yes, I would have found it difficult to, I wanted to be European, but I would have found it difficult to give up the British. When you're born with something like that, it's not easy to give up, but I was lucky I managed to.
Was that under German law or is that just under EU law? I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look because I'm not sure if the Dutch will allow that because you have to claim sovereignty to the Dutch government if you
No, I had to as well. So I'm you know, I have to say I'm more German than I am British, but I don't have, apart from when I'm actually in the UK, but I think that's German law. I don't know if it's European.
No, I think it's German. I think it's German.
I think it's German law.
So people aren't coming back. So which part of the Netherlands are you in?
I'm in Maastricht in the Netherlands, in the south of the Netherlands, just on the border between Aachen and Liège.
Yeah, my son moved to The Hague last year to study.
Amazing.
I used to live in The Hague.
Oh, really?
It's an amazing group, ladies. By the way.
I lived in Delft.
Group.
I lived in Delft and The Hague for a couple of years.
I'm in Delft as well.
I used to live in Rotterdam.
Oh.
It was not that. Was cool. But I loved Amsterdam and then The Hague too.
Yeah, The Hague. I really like The Hague.
Yeah, The Hague is wonderful.
Beautiful city and beautiful beach.
Oh yeah.
Yes, you're very interested.
Yeah.
So are people not coming back linear, or where are we?
I think everyone is back.
I think we're all back.
Yes.
You could have told me, Carolyn, keep going. I was, because I could only see a few people because of my screen. Okay.
Oh no, it's fine.
All right. Okay. So sorry for the few people that it didn't work out for, but that's one of the disadvantages of being virtual and technology and doing the breakout rooms. So thank you, Linnea, for trying to sort that all out and not taking part yourself. So I'm going to do a quick group reflection, but because there were, I think, 17 breakout rooms in the end, I'm going to do it very quickly. Anybody, any group that actually reached an agreement, just show me with a thumbs up with an emoji. And let me see how many. Oh, Katerina, that doesn't look like a very happy face.
No, I'm not sure if we got an agreement, because then the call was cut. But I mean, we were in the right track, I think.
You were in the right track. And were you person B or person A?
I was person A.
Ah, okay, right. Okay. Anybody else reach an agreement? Is there?
The person B from Katerina.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you agree with Katerina? Did you reach an agreement, you think?
Yes, I think so. I think, well, as she mentioned, that we are cut off, but we are in the very good way. Yeah, I was quite happy, I believe so, for the company.
Okay, and Katerina, were you quite happy with what you ended up with?
Yes.
Yeah, that's good. So 1 out of 17.
We have Carla and Mesede in the chat function. Your smileys, did they mean you have reached agreement?
Yes.
Oh, yes, we did.
Oh.
Yes, we did.
Okay, so that was two groups out of 17. So that's very good. I couldn't see all those. So that's very, very good. Excellent. That's actually much better than normal. Normally it is only one with, and sometimes it not even, I think last week I did a workshop, we didn't even get anybody who reached an agreement. So that's pretty good. Let's just have a quick look at why we did that. So we came in with two very different MDOs. So we had person B, who wanted to reduce hours, wanted to reduce the work, was feeling that she was being put on, and she was always being, because she was the most effective person in the team, she was taking on always too much work. And then we had person B, the new manager, who wanted to actually give her extra work. So they went in there with totally different goals, opposite end, no preparation. They kind of suspected, but there was no pre-work, and you didn't get to prepare about goals or anything like that. So that was just kind of an example on when you come through two different extremes, and person B is always saying no. So that was the manager. And let's have a look why. Oh, come on. How to get past no. Let's have a look a little bit about that. So is no the start or the end? It's not the end. So what can no really mean? I'm not ready to agree now. I can't afford it. I need more information. But you need to give me some time. So just because you hear no, don't take it personally and don't take it as the door is closed. You can ask questions. You can move forward. And maybe that's what Carla did or Katerina did or whatever you did to move forward. Is how do you get past no? Can I make a suggestion? What could make it work for you? How do we solve this problem? What are we trying to achieve? And if it's really bad, what brought us into this situation? Why are we here? How do you suggest we proceed? So there's different ways to get past no. One thing, whether you get a no, whether you get a proposal, is get comfortable with silence and pauses. It's very powerful. In fact, it's important you learn how to do this for a number of reasons. Never negotiate against yourself. If you've made an offer and the other person didn't accept it, do not go in with a lower number or something different, or they didn't even respond to it. It's called negotiating against yourself. You're taking away your position. You're taking away your power. Instead, ask them to make a counter offer if that's what you feel like, or leave it with them to think on. Now, there's different ways that you can do that. And what I'm going to go into now is something, if I can change my, hello. Aha. Conflict, deadlocks, and silence. How to manage these? What do you do with them? So William Ury, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a Harvard professor, and is how to get successful negotiators, how to divide the pie, win-win situations. And he says, pause, leave the dance floor, step onto the balcony. So what does that mean? Now, it's not literally you're stepping onto the balcony. If you're lucky to be negotiating in a beautiful place, then take a balcony. But it's reframe. You can do that in the room. You can do that outside of the room. If you're in a business negotiation, there's normally breakout rooms. And what do you do when you're there? You reframe, you talk to your team, you put yourself in their shoes, you talk to yourself, and you think about, where are we? We're in this conflict, we're in this deadlock. I've put a proposal on the table, there's a silence. How do we move forward? Now, there's no written script on how long you stay on that balcony. You could actually do it in the room for a minute. You could actually leave the room for 5 minutes. You could call the meeting to the end. You could call a lunch break. You could say, well, let's finish for today. I'll leave you to think about that. Or, I can see you didn't like my proposal. I'll let you think about it. It's up to you how to manage it. Maybe you can talk to your team, or you have a gut feeling. And while you're away, think about how to build a bridge. Now, your bridge might be, you don't need one because you've got a really good BATNA. But if you haven't got a really good BATNA, or you really would like to go into an agreement, then think about how you could build that bridge. And you restart the dance. Now, when you go into the room, they may approach you, you may approach them. It doesn't really matter who approaches who to restart the communication, restart the dance. And it doesn't really matter if you've made the offer and you've walked away and they've approached you, they've got something to share. Let them talk. You can acknowledge, mirror what they've said. If they've refused your offer before you walked away, thank them for sharing and see, we have an issue here. I can see you have an issue here. The bridge, link it back to the objectives. I think the real question here is the price. I think the real question here is, how do we move forward? Or ask them a question. What do you mean by whatever it was they said? Their refusal, they can't do that, whatever the last thing is they said. Ask them what they meant by it. What does it mean? Convey bring back the focus. Here is my suggestion. Here is our suggestion. Now, let me explain where this is taking us. So if you're really in the deadlock conflict phase and you're, as I mentioned before, you're a company, you're buying services, and you've put the offer on the table, they've refused it, you've gone away, you've come back, and you can be open with them. Let me explain where this is taking us. I do have alternative service providers to talk to. That's where I'm going. That's my partner. If it's a job offer, let me explain where this is taking us. I have an alternative offer, actually, but I would really like to work for your company. This is where this is taking us. So remember, when you leave the room, refrain, think about how to start the dance, link it to the objectives. Don't lose the focus of your goals, especially if you're negotiating for yourself. If you're negotiating for a company, you won't be able to unless you get authority. Negotiating for yourself, you may feel that you should give up on what your aims are and your positions are. And this leads nicely into gender negotiation. What do I mean by gender negotiation? So all the negotiations that some of the practitioner and some of the academic, people pick them up and look at them, and they're very orientated. They're either neutral gender or very much male gender focused. Women, we're different. We work differently. We function differently. We are different. We are different. And so there's certain things that we need to be aware of, and there's our powers that we can use in a negotiation. So I'm just going to go into this, but we also have some elements that we need to consider, which can be our weaknesses as well. Taking your place at the table and finding your true voice. What do I mean about that? Do we take our place at the table? Not all the time. Why don't we take our place at the table? We're actually stereotyped to be people pleasers. Make sure everybody in the room is okay. Everybody in the room has got a place. But if you're the most senior person in that room, is it your position? Is it your place to make sure everybody in the room has got a chair? Here's an example. I walk into a room, there's 6 chairs, there's 6 people sat around that table. I stand at the back. What am I saying? That the meeting is not important enough, that I want to take a seat at the table? That I'm not interested enough? Or that I'm not confident or assertive or competent enough to take a place at the table? Why don't we speak up? Why don't we find our true voice? Again, it's a precondition, it's a stereotype. Some people say it's about our pitch, our tone. We talk too high so people don't take us seriously. Our female voice is a vulnerability. No, it's not. You have a place at the table, and it doesn't matter if you speak high-pitched or if you speak low-pitched. It's what you're saying and how you're saying it. There's a lot of studies about voices, and I am going to talk later on when we talk about behaviors and poses and different types of poses about your voice. But be true to yourself. Margaret Thatcher, she's been analysed a lot about her voice, because I think we all know, and for those of you who have listened to her, if you listen to her, she talks very slow and she talks very deep. Voice analysis went back and showed videos of her, or recordings, they weren't videos, in the 60s, where she first went into politics. So she was a female politician in Northern England, and she was a conservative. She was pretty unique and pretty exotic, and she was a mother of 2 children. And this film shows her sitting there with her 2 children. She has a little bit of she has a female voice, a bit more high pitched, and she's excited. Roll on 20 years when she's a prime minister, she has a low voice and she talks very slowly. So somebody has told her, go and get coaching, train your voice. Don't be your true self. I don't agree with that. And I don't think we should agree with it as females. We can be good female negotiators and be true to yourself. And I'm going to explain a little bit more on how we can do that. It's about tapping into your feminine power. And what do I mean by that? When we enter into a negotiation, and I used to do this, I used to think if I want to be a good negotiator, I'm in a group of men, I need to negotiate like a man. I need to be firm, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to act and negotiate like a man. What happened? Sometimes it worked, a lot of the time it didn't, because I wasn't true to myself. I came over as being dominant, aggressive, pushy. And then suddenly it twigged and was like, why don't I just be myself? I'm going in for win-win negotiations. I want to build up these business agreements. Why don't I be true to myself? How can I be true to myself? And some women, when we go into negotiations, we're told, leave your emotions outside. It's not quite true. Positive emotions are good in negotiations. It's don't respond emotionally. So when I was a man, or not when I was a man, when I negotiated like a man and people didn't listen to me, I used to respond emotionally. Why are you listening to me? Why aren't you interrupting me? Are they not listening to me because I'm a woman? So I would respond emotionally. I wouldn't come over competent. I wouldn't come over as being confident, and I put myself in a weaker position. So how do you do that? Positive emotions. It's finding a balance. Don't do the poker face. Don't do the neutral. People won't want to work with you because negativity actually is contagious. Be assertive, positive emotions, and you'll get results. So how do you tap into that feminine power? You prepare, you do your research, you get your knowledge, so you can rationalize and answer with wisdom and information and data and facts. And you utilize your strengths as a woman by bringing positive emotions into the room. Positive emotions working together. Smile. Don't overdo it because it's also seen as not being too competent, but you can be friendly, build rapport. Frame yourself as your negotiation as you want to work to find a solution, to find the best solution and move forward. Use your feminine power, use your radar, you'll sense the room, you'll observe the other party's body language. We're very good at that. The balance of rational wisdom and positive emotions. Don't be an emotional responder, but have positive emotions. Be true to yourself. Focus on your energy, your rationale, your positivity. You have a place at that table and you have a voice that's worth listening to. So don't forget that. Be aware of not undervaluing yourself or what you are offering as a person or your position or who you are. Don't be the people pleaser in the room. If it is your job to check there's coffee there, fine, that's what you do. If it's not your job, it doesn't matter that there's coffee there. Yes, you want to make sure that, everybody's being listened to, you're moving forward, but everybody can do that, not just you as the only woman in the room. Don't work too hard to be liked. You're likely to give away too much and you'll come over as being not as confident or as competent. Yes, you want to be positive, but you're not building friendships there. You're discussing a business agreement. We have this syndrome, and it's in the additional readings that I'm going to send you. It's called likability versus competence and success. And we have this bias, unconscious and conscious bias, that we want to be liked, but we want to be successful. But however, as women, we want to be liked more. So we actually give up some of our confidence and competence to do that. Men don't do that. apologies. Be aware. Be curious, ask questions, speak up, but without apologizing. Like I said before, don't apologize and if somebody wasn't clear. Don't apologize if you want to ask a question. You just ask the question. You ask for clarification. Now, do I always manage to do that? No. I'm human. Sometimes I fall back into my old behaviors. But the key is to be aware. And there's a very good tip and tool and technique to help you ensure that you take your place at the table, you find your true voice, and you use your feminine power, you find the balance. And it's called Halt. And actually, it is from German, stop, but actually, if you look in a lot of books, it's used around the world, Halt, stop. And I think they say it in German because German is, the language is black or white. Halt, you stop. There's no gray area. And what does this mean? It means stop, listen, connect. Be aware of your behaviors. When do you tend to not use the feminine power? When you're not being listened to, when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling a bit nervous? Stop, halt, rein it in. Take a minute on the balcony. That doesn't mean leave the balcony. Find a tool, find something to help you bring yourself back to focus. I have two things that I do. The first thing, if I feel that somebody on the opposite side, or I'm not feeling too good, or I'm getting a bit emotional, or I'm going to get angry, I think about something or somebody or someone or a place where I feel good. So automatically, I'm getting my confidence and my position back. I'm not leaning too far into the table. I'm not being dominant. Or I have a talisman with me. I have one or two different talismans. I've got one here that I'm sharing with you today that I have. I use this a few times. And when I feel I'm going and I'm not connecting with myself and I'm not tapping into my feminine power and I haven't got a balance, I just take a minute, seconds, and I squeeze that talisman and it's halting myself and I'm reconnecting. Learn how to listen to yourself, your mindset, and how to read yourself. Some top tips for a woman in negotiation. Don't play it small and undervalue your worth, whether it's in your position or whether it's you're negotiating for yourself. Remember those goals that you put forward. Remember that's the salary that you're aiming for. That's the development that you want. And there's a reason you put that down as your goal. Lean into the table. Now, not dominant, but don't go back because it shows you don't care. It's neutral. And that will lean into the table. Take your space. Manage the emotions quota. That strike a balance of positive emotions and respond with wisdom. When somebody is positive, they automatically will make other people positive and solution orientated. Show up with the excellence that you need. And how do you get that excellent? You prepare, you research, which gives you knowledge. That knowledge gives you the confidence and assertiveness you need. Don't go into any negotiation, whether it's for yourself or anybody else, without preparing, without researching, without having that knowledge. You wouldn't go into an exam without revising. It's the same. It gives you what you need. Now, there's another element. So you've got your knowledge. You know what you're talking about. You're very capable. You've got your data. But it's about also what I like to call it the 4 Ps: the presence, the psychological, the power, pose. Now, in life, we get to choose how we want to show up in life. A negotiation is the same. It's an action with intention. So you can decide, do I go in concerned, unsure, scarcity? I never get what I asked for, but I'm going to try anyhow. It's not the right mindset. Or you can go in where you're positive, you've got possibility, and this is achievable. You're committed, you're determined, this is possible. So prepare your mindset, prepare yourself, give yourself the data, prepare your mindset, your presence, your body language, your vision, and your voice. Now, your body language says a lot about yourself, how you feel at that moment in time. You can see when somebody's nervous, feels uncomfortable, where they're putting their hands, and that's a whole different workshop. But when you're going into an important meeting, presentation, negotiation, prepare yourself. What do you like to do? How do you like to dress? If you feel comfortable in a dress, wear a dress. If you feel comfortable in plimsolls, if it's business allowed, wear plimsolls. Be true to yourself and feel comfortable. Me, I have 2 colors I wear, depending on what I'm going into. And I'll always have something with those colors on me that makes me feel good. It makes me feel confident. It could be my whole outfit. It could be just my necklace. It could be a scarf. But I have a specific color which makes me feel good and makes me feel confident. So I use that. Power poses. This is really important. Now, some of you will have heard of Amy Cuddy, and Amy Cuddy I have in the additional readings as well. And what Amy Cuddy says, she says, our bodies change our minds change our behaviors, and our behaviors change the outcome. And she's very big on the poses, the Wonder Woman pose like this. Now you can't sit all day like this or stand in a presentation all day like this. And the tall and proud pose. Now you can use that tall and proud pose when you take your time out on the balcony or you're getting ready. You can use the Wonder Woman pose as well. There's various ways, but think about your stance. Don't be submissive or offensive or defensive. You take your space. Now, taking your space literally, but also from a mind point of view as well. Be relaxed, strong, open posture, a confident stance or sitting, but not domineering. Convey real interest and engagement. Think about it. This is a win-win solution. You're negotiating your pay increase. You're negotiating your development. You want a win-win solution. You want this to work. Only when maybe you're not negotiating a new car, but still you want it to work. So you want to be interested in dealer's A car because it saves you going from dealer A through to dealer 5. Let's talk about voices. So before I explained to you that Margaret Thatcher, and you can look this up, and there's actually lots of analysis and videos on this, she got coached to talk slower and deeper because she was told that she spoke too much like a woman. Now, I'm not telling you, and I would never, and I wouldn't do it, you should change your voice. However, the speed of your voice, because it increases the feeling of power and confidence. So me, and Liana can verify, this is not my normal. If I was talking normally, I'd be talking like this in a social environment because I'm actually an energetic, passionate person. But if I spoke like this throughout this presentation, you'd be thinking, is she not interested? Is she rushing? Why is she talking so fast? I can't keep up. So I'm slowing down. Why? Because I'm giving you time to think and giving myself time to think. And I want to deliver in a competent way. I want you to understand what I'm saying. So I've slowed down. Now, there may be times when my natural speed is worth it, when I'm doing sport, when I'm talking to the children or whatever, or when I'm in a social environment. So interact and behave thoughtfully and clearly. And don't fear pauses. They're really powerful. So we're running a little bit over time here, and I've got a few more slides that I'd like to just share with you. But if anybody needs to leave at 8 o'clock, I would feel free to do so. But if you've got another 5-10 minutes, I think it will be worth your while. So I'll leave it up to everybody what they want to do. Your next goals, your steps. What I'd like you all to do, now you don't need to do it right now, but I would like you to do it this evening while it's fresh in your mind. Write down at least one I will statement. If you can come up with 2 or 3, even great, that's better. I will statement. What will you do? Have you got a negotiation you've been putting off? Have you got a discussion you've been putting off? Do you want to practice something here? Write down an I will statement, even if it's just thinking about how you enter into business normal meetings, your power, your position, your assertiveness, your confidence. Write down some I will statements. Practice, practice, practice. As I said at the very beginning, negotiation, it's a skill, it's a technique, there's methods. The more you use it, the better you will be, the more confident you will be, the more successful you will be. It's just like a sport. It's just like a sport. Plan and do a negotiation. Use some of the items that you've learned today, even if it's only 1 or 2. Reflect, analyze, see how it went, how did it feel, and reach out and book a one-on-one with me, and we can go through this, or we can talk about why it went well, why it didn't. We can talk, have you got a negotiation coming up that you want to prepare with? Reach out. Summary. Now, I'm not going to play this, but actually I recommend you watch this YouTube. It's based on Pirates Caribbean, and it's 5-6 minutes, but it's capturing everything we've spoken today about negotiations, the tools, the methods, the techniques, the planning, the long-term planning, the short-term planning. It's talking about identify your interests and goals, putting yourself in other people's shoes. Don't forget your goals. Don't give up on your goals. Communication skills are critical, but not just communicating and talking and asking questions. Listening skills, harvest the information. Listen, ask questions. More important than persuaded. No shortcut to negotiation preparation. Don't jump over it. You prepare, you prepare, you prepare. If you've got a negotiation coming up, practice it with a friend, with yourself. Talk about practice your compelling pitch. Video yourself, record yourself, see how it comes over. Do you sound nervous? Does it sound good? You can't prepare enough. Build trust in a negotiation is key with your positive emotion, and exercise your confidence through your preparation, through your wisdom, through your knowledge, through the data, through the facts. Don't take no personally, because it doesn't always mean no. Find out, ask questions. And remember, power is all about your presence, your mindset, pausing and silence. And again, confidence, knowledge gives you the excellence you need. One more item I want to share with you before we close up is if you don't ask, you don't get. Negotiation is critical for women. It leads to better outcomes. So a lot of you're a few years into your career, or you're starting off into your career. And do you know that women who ask for a raise are more than twice as likely to get one as if you don't ask? People aren't just going to come and give you something if you don't ask. 10 years ago, men negotiated 2 or 3 times more often than women did. And this is actually based on a survey from 2019 from Lean Organization, McKinsey & Company, Women in the Workplace 2019. And there's a link there which you'll get. Women were starting to negotiate at similar rates. We're getting more confident to ask for what we believe we're valued at, recognition. And it's a huge step in the right direction. However, what they're saying is the bad news is that we pay a penalty when we negotiate because we're not negotiating correctly, we're seen as we're receiving feedback imitating too aggressive or bossy. So we're holding back. We're underpinning this bias and this. So we need to change that. And we can change it by practicing, by doing it, and by learning and getting comfortable with negotiating and asking for what our true value is. So we've run over a little bit, but hopefully the few extra minutes was worth it. So I'd like to thank you all. Don't forget to reach out for your one-to-one of what we can discuss.
We have one question, Carolyn. I'm not sure whether we've got time. We have a question around body language and power poses versus in Zoom meetings.